welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I would like to talk to you a bit about a film I saw recently called I, Daniel Blake. A film that was directed by Ken Loach, and it was released in 2016, but I've only just seen it on BBC iPlayer after my dad recommended it to me. I was a bit reticent about seeing the film at first because of its depressing, bleak subject matter that I thought was rather close to home, and would it just make me feel very low and unhappy, and I've got enough on my plate really to deal with without being made to feel more miserable about the state of the world. But in the end I decided to see it, and I actually am glad I did, because it's a very good film. It did have me in tears. I don't usually cry when I watch films. The only other film that brought me to tears was Titanic, I think. So as I say, I'm not usually the type of person who cries on watching films. So it did take me by surprise that I did start crying. I cried twice during this film, just brought me to tears because it was so moving. I'm not gonna tell you the ending because, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it or anything. But it's about this 59-year-old carpenter called Daniel Blake he's had a heart attack while at work, and he's declared by his doctor and physiotherapist as unfit to work. So he has to go and apply for ESA, Employment and Support Allowance, which is a benefit that those who can't work can get. This woman, a so-called healthcare professional, not his own doctor, someone who doesn't know him, who's never met him face to face, who doesn't know about his case, phones him up Vivaldi's Four Seasons is played on the phone. That's always played. At job centres, healthcare clinics, they always play that Vivaldi's Four Seasons. And when you've heard it that many times in those stressful situations, it just puts you off listening to it again, because it just reminds you. And it's a sort of it is rather incongruous having that classical music being played in such a depressing environment. Yes, it lends a certain sort of surreal quality to it, really. Sort of nightmarish quality. Having such beautiful music being played in such cold, hostile surroundings. So after waiting, for to get through to someone, he's then asked all of these very impersonal, random questions that have no, they're completely arbitrary. They don't have any relation to his actual condition. He's asked, can you raise your arms, above your head? He's asked about the state of his bowels. He's asked questions that have no relation to his heart, which is what has led, which is why he can't work. But because he ticks enough boxes, because he answers yes to enough of these questions that have got no relation to his heart, he's deemed to be fit for work by the DWP. So he then has to appeal this decision, because obviously his own doctor, who knows his case, has said that he can't work. So he has to appeal. But obviously, while in the process of appealing, he's stuck without any income because he has to wait for a phone call from the person who's made the decision before he can proceed. So he's left with no income. So he has to now apply for job seekers allowance. It's the only way he can get an income. But obviously, as part of for job seekers allowance, you have to show that you're looking for work. So this becomes a complete farce, an absolute absurdity, because now he has to go and he has to attend CV workshops. He has to hand his CV out to various employers under the pretense he's looking for work, but of course he can't work. He's unfit to work. He's ill. He even actually succeeds at an interview and actually is phoned up, with a job offer, and then he has to say, actually I'm unfit to work, I'm only doing this because I have to get the GSA. So it's a complete farce, and this just completely winds him down and, I'm not going to tell you the ending. You could probably imagine what the ending is, but if you haven't seen it, I won't tell you. He does meet a single mother who also is on benefits. She's got 2 children. She moves up to Newcastle from London because they can't house her in London. She's been living in a homeless hostel. But one of her children has, become very hyper and they need somewhere better to live. So she's moved up to Newcastle. And her benefits are frozen when she's late to the job centre through no fault of her own because her bus is late. She befriends Daniel. Katie, she's called. She befriends Daniel and they become good friends. And Daniel is very caring towards her and helps her out. It's a complete contrast between how caring he is and the cold-hearted nature of the system. And I thought it was quite interesting how it was done. That they chose, his heart, but for heart as the ailment, because they could have chosen any other affliction. He could have had cancer or anything else. So I thought it was quite symbolic that they chose the heart. Because, the heart obviously gets a physical heart, but then there's also the caring, compassionate, soul-like heart. And where Daniel has soul, he has heart, he has empathy, the system is completely heartless and has no empathy and is completely uncaring. So it's a really good film. I do highly recommend it. Having seen the film, I now would quite like to go and see all of Ken Loach's films because I do admire Ken Loach as a director. I have seen Kes, I saw that early last year, which is a good film, but I don't think I've seen his other films, so I'd like to see his other films. I think he's about 80 years old now. He did actually go into retirement, but he came back to produce this film. So whether or not he'll make another is, yet to be known. But as I say, I do highly recommend it because the way people on benefits are treated in this country is really like Dickensian and shambolic, and they're not treated like human beings. They're treated almost like dogs, and or like completely in a degraded way. People are made to feel ashamed for being on benefits. Like before I went on benefits, so I didn't even want to go on benefits. No one wants to go on benefits, but when I was in my before, even I think, you internalise it, don't you? I used to believe the things I read about people on benefits, and I had the stereotype in my head, and I was like, I'm not one of those people, because you believe the stereotypes till you start to question them. And then obviously I had to go on benefits because, there was no other way for me to actually get any money other than just relying on my parents, which wouldn't be very good, would it? So, because I can't work and everything. But yeah, so I'd internalised that. Obviously I no longer believe that because I've grown up and I know now what's what. But it just goes to show, if I once believed what I read about people on benefits, no wonder other people do, because it's just ignorance. So yeah, but it is really bad because obviously there are people who literally can't work through no fault of their own, like whether or not they're born with some disabilities or they acquire disabilities, they can't work, and that they shouldn't feel bad about that and shouldn't feel ashamed that through no fault of their own they can't work. And we should be proud that we do have this welfare system. We should celebrate it, and instead people are made, because anyone can rely on it at any one time. Just because someone currently isn't not using it doesn't mean at some point in the future they might lose their job or they might become disabled. Anyone can rely on it, need to rely on it at any time. So we should be celebrating it. We shouldn't be we shouldn't be slandering it and things like that. So yeah, as I say, do go and watch I, Daniel Blake. It's a really good film. Right, moving on now to video number 2, but I'm going to be talking about Treat Thursday.